Next on Sisterhood of the Second Act.
Losing someone close to you is stressful. Preparing their final arrangements only adds to that stress. With a little bit of planning, you can gather all the information your loved ones that you leave behind will need. Blair Graninger joins us to talk about the Evergreen Memorial Planning Guide and how to use it. As we enter the warm weather months, we will see more and more pollinators in our yards. The most prolific pollinator, the honeybee, is in distress. Michelle Rader will tell us how we can help these pollinator superheroes. We'll meet these women on this edition of Sisterhood of the Second Act, right after this.
Sisterhood of the Second Act is brought to you by Cabbie Fashions take you from the boardroom to the beach. Dress for a garden party or a night on the town. Independent cabbie stylist Darlene Marshall will make sure you look your best no matter what the occasion. She'll bring the store to your home for you and your friends or schedule a private consultation. Call Darlene 540-330-6819, 540-330-6819, or find her on Instagram at Dapper Darling, on Facebook at Darlene Marshall Independent Cabbie Stylist.
I'm going to be an oak tree.
I think I'll be a dogwood tree.
My kids say they be looking for a thorny tree for me.
With Evergreen, you can be a tree. Our biodegradable urn combines your ashes, natural soil additives, and a native tree of your choice. Be a tree and grow for tomorrow.
I want to be a tree.
Learn more at evergreenmemorialtrust.com.
Pat Lucas is committed to providing independent financial advice to individuals, families, and small businesses. Contact Pat at 540-798-8104. 540-798-8104. Securities and investment advisory services are offered solely through Equity Services Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, 4401 Starkey Road, Roanoke, Virginia 24018, 540-989-4600. Looking for your first home or retirement home? Realtor Monica Nicely can help you find it. Whether you're moving in or out of the Roanoke region, call Monica 540-449-2019, 540-449-2019. Alcova Mortgage Loan Officer Jonathan Sweat helps you seal the deal with the loan to suit your needs with great rates and terms. Call Jonathan 540-314-8843, 540-314-8843.
Alcova Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID number 40508, MLSConsumerAccess.org. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to credit approval.
Now from the Fox Radio Roanoke studio, here's Kathy Heberly.
Welcome to Sisterhood of the Second Act. I'm Kathy Heberly. Our first interview today focuses on how to make life easier during a stressful time. If you have lost a parent or spouse, you know making those final arrangements is difficult and stressful. Gathering all the needed information from dozens of sources only adds to the stress. The Evergreen Memorial Trust Planning Guide walks you through gathering all the information your loved ones will need. Blair Graninger, a family service counselor with Evergreen Memorial Trust, is here to tell us more. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me. It's good to be here.
My pleasure.
Nice to meet you.
Tell us more about the planning guide and what it is for.
Well, the planning guide is designed to help you plan that chapter of our lives because we're all going to face it. And from the time we start school till high school, college, career, family, marriage, all of that, we're planning everything, retirement. So why not plan that chapter? And it's a great gift that you can give your family so that they don't have, I hesitate to use the word stressful, but it is a stressful time for them, especially when they've lost someone that they love. So plan that, give that silent gift to them, and help them know where everything is that they might need.
And also what their wishes are.
Exactly.
Because if somebody dies unexpectedly, sometimes you haven't had the opportunity to ask them.
Some people don't want to talk about it.
Absolutely. So let's say I've decided I am going to leave this guide for my family. What information will I need to gather to fill out the guide?
Well, that's the great thing about the guide. it literally walks you through step by step. So it's going to tell you what documents you may need.
Right.
It's going to tell, it has a place to where you can note important phone numbers for professionals that you work with, family members who may need to be got in touch with instead of going through your phone or finding that address book. Everything is in one concise location. And there's a guide to tell you the pertinent documentation that's going to be needed at the time of death. If you're a veteran, you're going to need your discharge papers, your DD-214, where your will's located, where the key is to your safety deposit box. It's those little things that people may not think about every day. Right. But if you're not here anymore to answer those questions, where might they find those items that they need?
That's very good information. I believe in it. I have one. So I'm very much in support of this. And I noticed there is even a section on social media. Tell us more about what information we need to leave for our loved ones.
Okay. Our older guide, we revamped this just a few years ago. And as we all know, everything is password protected. Everything is so digital anymore, even your phone. So if you don't have that thumbprint or you don't know that code, you're going to need to be able to get into those phones. You're going to need to be able to get into social media, accounts, email accounts, all of that. If you don't have those passwords, what do you do? And so there are ways in certain social formats to where you can put a contact person at your time of death. But if they have their passwords and there is a special location for that, then it makes it easier. Again, this is all about making it easier for your family, making your wishes known and making this transition for them as easy as possible, because when someone goes through this, and I know this from my own experience of losing my dad, you're in a fog because you just lost someone that you love deeply.
Yes.
And if we, being still here, can make that transition for them easier to where they can be sitting around telling stories about us and laughing about us, maybe having some tears of joy and tears of sadness at the same time, but we're comforting each other. And all these little details that can take up so much time and the appointments and all of that, if it's done, think how much easier it will be for your loved ones, your spouse.
So important. We are talking with Blair Graninger about the Evergreen Memorial Trust Planning Guide. And the guide isn't just for documents and records. Explain how it walks you through the process of pre-planning your final arrangements.
Well, pre-planning those arrangements can be done ahead of time, and it's very, again, important. Again, we plan everything. If we're having a party, we're planning that party. And really, a funeral is a celebration of that person that we just lost. So in a sense, it's kind of, we're celebrating them. So within the guide, you can think about, do I want a certain scripture read? Do I want a certain song sung? Is there a poem that I love that I would love to have read? Is there something special that I want everyone to wear? A color? Everybody has a different idea. And nothing is off the table anymore. It's not just, there are no two services alike. So if you're wanting to have doves released, let us know that. Okay. Let your families know that. If you want butterflies released, let us know that. Let your family know that. And if it's not a conversation that the family's comfortable having, or even ourselves as individuals of having with our families, because nobody wants to think about that time.
That's right.
If you noted in the planning guide, all those wishes are known. And I can't tell you how many times I've met with families saying, oh, I hope I did what Mom wanted. Right. Because they didn't have that conversation.
That's right. So you covered my next question, which was how difficult it is to think and why we should leave behind something. But why did Evergreen feel the need to create the guide?
Because we're here to help people. And that's every step that we do, we want to help someone. It's not just the part of providing a place for that loved one to be. We take care of everything. All of our cemeteries are perpetual care. So the family never has to worry about making sure the grass is mowed. If there's old flowers on, we're going to take those up if they haven't been able to come. If there's families that are from out of state or out of town and they can't get here as often, we receive flowers, put them out in the vase, take pictures, send them to them. We're a family, and we're an extension of your family.
We are talking with Blair Graninger about the Evergreen Memorial Trust Planning Guide. And once you have filled out the guide, it really is a gift to those who are left behind. How do loved ones use the guide? And where do you recommend that they keep it?
I suggest that there be one folder instead of a file cabinet that has all of your insurance policies, all of the important documentation that you may need. I tell them to take a picture of that first page of the insurance policy, put it in the back of the book. If there's not enough room in the book, add some sheets to it. You can add as much as you want, but have it in that one special place. It's for your eyes and who you choose to share it with, because there might be some important financial information in there as well. And have that one place, have that conversation just like you did with your son-in-law and say, this is where it is when that time's needed. This is where to come to. Exactly.
That's right. I really like that.
And there's one section in there to where, you know, nobody knows our history better than ourselves. And I had the honor of writing my dad's obituary. As soon as it was published, I realized I left something very important out. So by filling out that information about yourself, then the funeral home or anyone who's writing the obituary can take that page and do a very thorough job on documenting your loved one's life.
That sounds wonderful. And Evergreen Memorial Trust has been part of the regional community for more than 100 years. You have 5 properties. Could you tell us quickly where they are located?
Sure. We have our main office, that's Evergreen Burial Park, that's over in the Wasena area. We have Mountain View Memorial Park, which is in Boones Mill, Virginia. It also encompasses our natural burial area called Forest Rest. That's where everything is 100% green. We also have Mountain View Cemetery in Vinton, which also encompasses a pet cemetery for our pets. And then we have Green Hill Mausoleum, and that's in Buena Vista.
Wow, so you are all over.
We are.
That's wonderful. There are some historical figures buried at Evergreen. I hear you have a walking tour explaining that history. Tell us about it.
Well, we actually have the walking tour coming up later in the year, but that walking tour is based on the history that's in the cemetery, because there's so much history in the cemeteries. Looking at memorials, finding out information, different things like that. But one of the people that's buried in our cemetery is John Bob Slaughter, and he was he spearheaded the D-Day Memorial area. He was a pilot, and there was a big celebration of his life when he passed. We have former mayors. We have Confederate soldiers. There's one lady who started one of the groups just for women. So when my daughter first started coming to the cemetery with me, she was like, Mom, I don't want to go out there. And I was like, Annie, it's full of history. Go out and just explore. And now she finds it very interesting. She wants to go to other cemeteries to look at those things.
That is wonderful, and it's so nice that you offer these tours. So, Blair, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll have a link to the Evergreen Memorial Trust Planning Guide in today's show notes at sisterhoodofthesecond-act.com. There's more Sisterhood of the Second Act ahead. Gardeners love to hear bees buzzing in their gardens. We'll learn how to make our yards and gardens more bee-friendly after this.
Looking for your first home or retirement home? Realtor Monica Nicely can help you find it. Whether you're moving in or out of the Roanoke region, call Monica 540-449-2019, 540-449-2019. Alcova Mortgage Loan Officer Jonathan Sweat helps you seal the deal with the loan to suit your needs with great rates and terms. Call Jonathan 540-314-8843, 540-314-8843.
Alcova Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID number 40508, MLSConsumerAccess.org. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to credit approval.
I'm going to be an oak tree.
I think I'll be a dogwood tree.
My kids say they be looking for a thorny tree from me.
With Evergreen, you can be a tree. Our biodegradable urn combines your ashes, natural soil additives, and a native tree of your choice. Be a tree and grow for tomorrow.
I want to be a tree.
Learn more at evergreenmemorialtrust.com.
Pat Lucas is committed to providing independent financial advice to individuals, families, and small businesses. Contact Pat at 540-798-8104. 540-798-8104. Securities and investment advisory services are offered solely through Equity Services Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, 4401 Starkey Road, Roanoke, Virginia 24018, 540-989-4600. Cabby Fashions take you from the boardroom to the beach. Dress for a garden party or a night on the town. Independent Cabby stylist Darlene Marshall will make sure you look your best no matter what the occasion. She'll bring the store to your home for you and your friends or schedule a private consultation. Call Darlene 540-330-6819, 540-330-6819, or find her on Instagram at Dapper Darling, on Facebook at Darlene Marshall Independent Cabby Stylist. Once again from the Fox Radio Roanoke studio, here's Kathy Heberly.
Welcome back to Sisterhood of the Second Act. I'm Kathy Heberly. Bees are super pollinators. A single bee colony can pollinate 3 million flowers a day. Bees pollinate about 70 of the 100 crop species that feed 90% of the world's population. In addition to pollinating our gardens, they give us honey and beeswax. Michelle Rader, owner of The Salty Bee, is here to tell us more about bees and the products they help her create. Thank you for coming in today, Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. First, why do you love bees?
Because I love food. So, because bees populate so much of our food system, obviously I do love the honeybee, but I'm just absolutely amazed by the work that they do and how intricate their little society is and how much they do to help us.
Well, and when you say food, I think we're talking about crops and all kinds of things, not just, you think of bees for honey,
right?
But you're talking about all the food that they contribute to on an agricultural level?
Like a cross-pollination.
Yes, that's excellent. And how did you get into beekeeping?
My dad was a beekeeper. He's been a beekeeper for a little over 20 years. And I never really knew what he was doing when he was like, I'm going to go out and play in the yard. And I would be like, okay, he's crusty. But honestly, he was going out to play with the bees. And then for my 50th birthday, he got me a hive.
And how many bees are in a hive?
Approximately 50,000.
50,000?
Yes.
Do you ever get stung?
A lot.
Oh, do you? I just wondered.
Actually, you know what? It's funny. It depends on what you wear and what time of the year it is.
I didn't know that. Well, what should we wear?
Don't wear black.
Okay.
Because they'll think you're a bear. Okay. So, yeah.
All right. So tell us about bees. Why don't we ever see a baby bee?
Because most baby bees are called larvae. Okay. And they're still capped in their cell, waiting to come out. Bees, when they come out, need to be technically born an adult. They have a lot of jobs to do as soon as they get out of the cell.
And when you see a honeycomb, is that kind of what we should picture as the house of the cell house?
Yeah, it is.
Is that?
So you've got two different kinds of bees. You've got males that are drone and female worker bees. Okay. And the female worker bees have to claw their way out of their little cells, and the male bees get help.
Okay.
Because they need it.
My goodness. So we are talking with Michelle Rader, owner of the Salty Bee. And when you say the females have to claw their way out, does that empty cell then get filled with honey or another bee? What goes into that?
You know what? It doesn't. It depends.
Okay.
A lot of times where their brood is laid is in the center of the hive. Okay. Because they want to, in the winter, surround that brood cell with honey. Okay. So it's kind of like an insulation.
That makes sense. And tell us about the inner workings of the hive. As women, we have something in common with the worker bees.
Well, all the worker bees, 99% of the worker bees are women. So we're the ones that are feeding the newborns, the larvae. We are guarding the entrance. We are nursing everybody. And we are going out and gathering honey and pollen.
So work, work, work. And what is the role of the drone in the hive?
Well, as the name implies, drone is there to idle. They are the streetwalkers of the hive. They are kind of lazing around. They're the lazy boys. They're waiting for the queen to pick them, to mate with them.
And that's their job.
To
eat honey and to wait to mate.
To mate, yep.
Okay.
So,
but what happens to them when they do get picked?
When they do get picked, they die. So
okay.
with a smile on their face, hopefully. But yeah.
Yes.
But the male bees, they don't do anything. They don't gather. They don't collect anything. They don't nurse. They don't work. So in the wintertime, if they haven't been picked by the queen, they get kicked out to starve or freeze.
Okay, well, that's good to know. How long do bees live?
About 4 to 6 weeks, maybe up to 20 weeks in the winter, depending. And the queen lives between 4 and 6 years.
Okay, so that's good to know. And we do know one of the things we wanted to educate the population around us is that the bees are struggling and their numbers are declining. And how can we help them thrive?
You can help bees thrive by planting a bee garden. It doesn't have to be a huge garden. It can be a small garden. It can be just a window box, but something that has lots of nectar and pollen, big flowers. Keep your trees. Trees are a huge source of food for the bees, probably more than anything else. If you notice right now, the trees outside that are blooming have tiny little flowers on them.
Right.
The bees are all over those right now. You can also put bee baths in your yard, and that's just kind of like a bird bath with either marbles or little, I cut up a pool noodle into like little life rafts for them.
Let them sit on that.
And let them sit on that. Eliminate the use of synthetic chemicals in your yard and garden areas for compost or for fertilization or weed control.
Okay.
And if you see a swarm in your area, don't call an exterminator, call a beekeeper.
That's right. And why should you do that?
Well, exterminators will kill them, and a beekeeper will take them with them. So they can do that a couple of different ways. Most of the time, they will find the queen somewhere in that swarm, and once you have the queen, the pheromones of the queen will pull all the other bees in with them.
So that's the one that you want to...
That's the one that you want to do. There's also, I've seen it where they vacuum them up. Like,
and that doesn't kill them?
No, it's a gentle vacuum.
Okay, well, to save them, I mean, would do, yes.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of them. If you see a swarm, just call a beekeeper.
They're looking for a home.
That's all they want. That sounds great. Okay, so we are talking with Michelle Rader, the owner of the Salty Bee, all about these bees. And tell us about the Salty Bee. And you've started selling products and making products. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I started out just with honey and candles because it was kind of the basics. I never wanted anything that the bees created to have to go to waste. So I didn't want to throw anything away. It takes them so long to make
Tell
honey.
us how to make honey. How much?
It takes their entire lifetime to make one bee's entire lifetime to make a teaspoon of honey.
Okay. Isn't that
it's
interesting?
A lot, yeah.
It's a lot. And they work hard to do that.
They work really hard, yeah.
Okay.
So I started looking at other products that I could make utilizing that. And because beeswax is antifungal and antibacterial, there's so many different uses for it. So from lip balm to beard balm to dog balm to put it on their little pads and stuff like that. I've made those things, and honey lavender cookies, just anything inspired by my hive.
All right. Do you also sell a lot of honey, or do you try to mostly preserve most of that for your bees? How does that work? Like, how much do you harvest, I guess is a good word.
So when you start to harvest honey, and I literally am just a first-year beekeeper, so I've only done it a couple of times, but we harvest enough so that we can leave them enough food to feed their brood.
Okay.
And then in the winter, you want to leave them about 50 to 60 pounds to make it through the winter.
Okay, that's how much they need just to get through the winter.
And sometimes you have to feed them on top of that.
Oh my.
So you'll go out in the winter and you can place pollen patties on top of the frames or feed them with fondant.
Oh, okay, sugary.
Just all the sugars. Yes.
That's good to know, because I know they come to my hummingbird feeder.
Yeah.
So they do like their sugar. Why are beeswax candles better for you than the ones you buy in the store? I've heard that.
Beeswax candles are all natural. So they burn longer. They actually release negative ions into the air that attach to positive ions in the air, which is pollution.
Oh my.
They don't have any soot.
Okay. They have a nice fragrance even when...
They actually, even without putting fragrance in them, that's a really nice, sweet, light fragrance.
And when you say they burn longer, are we talking about tapers or pillars or whatever?
Just the candle itself. So a 4-ounce candle in beeswax will burn about 20 to 25 hours.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm really happy to hear that.
They don't release any pollutants because they are all natural. There's a lot of petroleum products that are in other candles.
I didn't know that. So who wants that? Exactly. And then just tell us a little bit about the benefits of raw local honey.
Raw local honey, especially unpasteurized, is great for you because if you have allergies, everything is going to bother you. You don't know what it is. It could be pollen from an oak tree. So you've got bees that will go from place to place to place, and you've got thousands of these microscopic little pieces of pollen on them. So ingesting just a small amount every day will help your body start to acclimate a little bit better to those allergens and hopefully relieve some of your allergy symptoms that way. It's like having a tiny allergy shot, but it tastes good.
That's really good. And it's a little therapeutic, right? Yes. When you have a sore throat or...
It's awesome for sore throats. It's awesome for your immunity. It's great.
It's got a lot of benefits,
It does.
Vitamins and everything. It sounds really good. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. We will have Michelle's contact information in today's show notes at sisterhoodofthesecond.com. We'll be back to wrap up the show after this.
Kathy's wardrobe provided by Cabby stylist Darlene Marshall. See the styles in our show notes at sisterhoodofthesecond.com.
See where a grateful nation remembers its heroes, and where Thomas Jefferson came to relax. Where small town charm is just down the road from big outdoor adventures. Find peace and quiet, as well as the sounds of family fun. Destination Bedford is located where the Piedmont Plateau meets the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. Where ordinary ends, Bedford begins.
Where there is nothing, artists see something. Where there is silence, they hear a melody. Where there is beauty, they create even greater beauty. In a region known for its beautiful mountain surroundings, our vibrant arts community makes the Allegheny Highlands a more colorful place to live and visit. Our passion for the arts is endless, and it's uniquely Allegheny.
You are cheap. No, I'm not. You are cheap. No, I'm not. You are cheap. No, I'm not. You are cheap. Well, maybe I am.
If you're buying a diamond ring for your wife, it's not cool to be cheap. If you're buying airline tickets, it's very cool to be cheap and called Trip Amigo, where you can fly anywhere in the world and save up to 75% on over 500 airlines and 300,000 hotels. Plus, rental cars and vacation packages. Visit family, friends, or go on a once-in-a-lifetime vacation. Go ahead, be cheap. We have special fares we're not allowed to publish. When you book your airline reservations with Trip Amigo, you'll spend your travel money when you get there, not by getting there. Call Trip Amigo now and mention the travel code AMIGO and save even more. Call Trip Amigo now.
800-772-4165. 800-772-4165. 800-772-4165. That's 800-772-4165.
I want to thank Blair Graninger and Michelle Rader for being with us today. Blair stressed the importance of gathering your important information into one spot to help your family deal with your estate after you die. Michelle educated and entertained us with important things that we can do to help honeybees survive. I'm Kathy Heberly. Join us next week for another edition of Sisterhood of the Second Act.